Welcome back. You're still tuned to Business Review and SABC News International. Thank you for tuning to us and staying with us. We're discussing the African Leadership Academy. Now, the founding team of the Academy built a powerful network of advisors and developed a robust, sustainable operating model for the Academy, a world-class Pan-African secondary institution on the outskirts of Johannesburg here in South Africa. My guest is Chris Bradford, who is a co-founder at the African Leadership Academy. Now, Chris, you were making mention of this amazing opportunities that even one of your students from Tanzania has came up with, and also that shall network you or connect you with one of the entrepreneurs who's been on the program. And you recently received an award as on the best of the one of the best emerging social entrepreneurs in the world. How do you feel about that?
Well, it was pretty exciting, and both myself and another one of the founders, my partner Fred Swaniker, were named by the Echoing Green Foundation as two of the best emerging social entrepreneurs in the world. 2 of 14, which came from about 950 or 1,000 applicants that they had reviewed. And this came with funding and was really a stamp of credibility for us as we went out and continued to build this enterprise. Now,
in your view, what is the contribution of social entrepreneurship in the gross domestic product of South Africa?
That's a big question. You know, social entrepreneurship is something that I think has been around since the beginning of time. You think about you know, notable global examples like Mother Teresa. She's probably she was a social entrepreneur, or Muhammad Yunus, who recently won the Nobel Peace Prize for establishing the Grameen Bank, which does microfinance.
In India, yes.
And he's also a social entrepreneur. So I think many institutions got their start through social entrepreneurship. But social entrepreneurs don't look to just maximize GDP, but also measures of the quality of life. So I think that you would see social entrepreneurs impacting South Africa and the African continent, both in terms of economic growth, but also in terms of things like life expectancy, or social entrepreneurs in the healthcare space reducing maternal mortality rates or infant mortality rates through their innovative solutions to some of the challenging problems that they face.
Now, because you're from an academic background, recently in the program we had some 2 guests. One was an entrepreneur in terms of they never had formal education, and one of them is a professor with regards to entrepreneurship. And we had this interesting discussion to say, how do you define an entrepreneur? You making mention of another level whereby there's an entrepreneur, and he was saying that there's someone who's an entrepreneur, somebody who's a business manager, and somebody you making mention of a social entrepreneur. What is the distinction between an entrepreneur and a social entrepreneur?
Great question. I think social entrepreneurs are simply a subcategory of entrepreneurs. At African Leadership Academy, we have a number of students who want to be social entrepreneurs and a number of students who want to be corporate entrepreneurs. And I think that they all go through the exact same entrepreneurship course, but then break off into these distinct tracks. I think the difference between social entrepreneurship and corporate entrepreneurship, if you will, is the difference between maximizing shareholder value, as represented by a stream of profits over time, and maximizing stakeholder value. Social enterprises have a bottom line that may be financial. They could be for-profit or non-profit, but they also are focused on addressing a particular need in society. And they'll measure their success not simply in terms of financial reward, but also in terms of the improvement of crucial metrics. I used the maternal mortality rate as an example a moment ago.
So meaning that one of the experts that we had on the program, when you were saying that somebody who's an entrepreneur, in terms of they big with regards to profits and they don't have a staff complement, they themselves run the business, and another entrepreneur who has a big staff complement and minimal profits, that's a social entrepreneur. Is that what you're saying? Because he's making a difference with regards to livelihood.
Well, that's an interesting way to think about it. I think that you could make an argument that all entrepreneurs are social entrepreneurs to the extent that they're creating employment and jobs, right?
So if he's not creating employment, he's not an entrepreneur.
Well, if you're creating something, if you have an innovative solution to a problem, or are addressing a human need through a business, you're an entrepreneur. Or if you're addressing a need through a social enterprise, you're an entrepreneur.
So therefore, that probably that expert, in your view, was incorrect in saying that, or maybe even not even incorrect, but he has a different view towards how do you define entrepreneurship, is what you're saying?
Perhaps. I mean, I would have to speak with him, but my guess is we'd probably be more similar than we are different.
Okay. Now, the Academy is a social venture, but are there any profit-making initiatives involved to sustain the Academy?
Well, surely. You know, we have a social enterprise, but we're seeking to build an institution that will last for hundreds of years on the African continent. And if we're going to do that successfully, we need to earn our own income. So we earn income through a few different ways. I mean, one is through fees. We have an ability to pay-based model in which we have students who come on full scholarships, who come from backgrounds with very limited means, for example, refugees from different parts of the continent. And we have students who come from very well-off families who pay a full fee. And that is complemented by some other lines of business that we have. For example, we run camps for profit, and we run conferences on our campus, the African Leadership Academy campus on the outskirts of Johannesburg, for corporations, for example, that are designed to deliver profit to the Academy. But that profit is then reinvested in our scholarship fund and in our programs such that we can empower more students and spread our curriculum more broadly to develop leaders who can transform society.
Let me just hold you there again, Chris. Time now for yet another short break. When we return, we still continue with our discussion on entrepreneurship with Chris, so stay with us.